Speaking of Bontempelli, we mentioned him earlier. Is this his Brownlow revenge season? Because he's twice been a runner-up. Last year was the second time that the Dog Star finished runner-up in the Brownlow, but he's taken himself to a completely different level, another level, a better level, a higher level. He had 30 and 3 this week, as we said. Apparently all also under the weather, which is really impressive. And he's shown that he can be one of the best goal-kicking mids in the competition up there with Chad Warner, Heaney as well. And so we thought we'd look, a guy that came second narrowly last year. How does his 2024 compare to his second place last season?
Yeah, so we can just start looking at, I think we've used this stat, I know Jake was big on it, in the 6 points of Isaac Heaney, I think after round 4, after round 6 and after round 8. And few various rounds we sort of looked at, it was the greatest start to a season of anyone, or the third best behind Gary Ablett and things like that. Now Bont has actually overtaken him. Bont's actually the number 1 rated player in the competition this year, and it's the second most rating points any player has scored across the first 14 rounds of a season. And again, rating's only been around since 2010, so it doesn't go all the way back. But the only better first 14 rounds of a season was 2014 Gary Ablett, who had basically got Gold Coast
carried
from
the Suns
18th to 6th or 7th.
Well, they were going to make finals and win the flag until he did his shoulder a couple of rounds later.
2 weeks later, he did his shoulder against Collingwood. So still finished, I think, 3rd in the Brownlow. Pretty sure he still made the All-Australian team after the All-Australian team was previously set at a 16-game minimum. I think they dropped that down to a 15-game minimum to get Gary Ablett in, and have kept it at a 15-game minimum since. So second best start to the season we've ever seen. But yeah, the one that gets me is you reel off the numbers, and they're great looking numbers. 26 disposals, 6.5 clearances, 5.5 tackles, 1.6 goals and 1.9 score assists. So sort of a little bit of everything, but he will be on track to become the first player ever. So to average at least minimum of 25 disposals, so he's one above that, 6 clearances, 5 tackles, 1.5 goals and 1.5 score assists. Nobody's ever averaged those numbers across a season. So always talk about that's, putting those stats together. It shows that you can win it at the source. 2, you can provide the outside sort of link up with your disposal numbers going high. But then he tackles the defensive stuff, and he's also hitting the scoreboard. So he's actually 3rd for scoreboard impact this year, which we spoke about on the pod before. That's just adding up your goals plus behinds plus goal assists are worth 6 points, and a behind assist is worth 1 point. So only Charlie Curnow and Jesse Hogan have had more direct scoreboard impact points than him this year.
So he's doing it all in the middle. He's doing it all in the forward half as well.
Line. And then some of the other quirky stats that come. So you look at his comp rankings. He's 2nd in the competition for score involvement, 6th for contested possession, 6th for score assist. As I said, 3rd for total scoreboard impact. But even these 2 little stats stand out to me. He's number 1 in the competition for contested knock-ons, 2.2 per game. So I think we've spoken about that before as you don't get a stat for that, for those little tap-ons mid-air and passing it to a teammate. You do. He's at 2.2 of those per game. And he's also the 2nd most smothers per game of anyone. So another meaningless little sort of peripheral stat.
Well, the 1%
that he still excels in. So knocking the ball on, getting those little hands onto the smothers, tackling, as I said, the score assist. It has been one of the most complete seasons in terms of facets of the game that we've seen from a midfielder.
So you say that, but you look at, so our Brownlow predictor, Jake, still doing his good work there. He's only 4th on ESPN's Brownlow predictor at this point with 17 votes behind Isaac Heaney, Nick Dacos and Patrick Cripps. Heaney on 22.5. I'm going to ask you this, JB. Do you think he's currently the best player of this season so far? Is it recency bias that we're forgetting Heaney's first 5-6 games?
No, I think Heaney's still ahead, and then it's probably Bontempelli, and then probably Nick Dacos. But I think he's definitely up there, and he's clearly, I think he's the best player in the competition. But yeah, you can't ignore Heaney's start to the season. But yeah, 2nd in a Brownlow twice. One of those years, 2021, he had 33 votes, which was behind Ollie Wine's 36, and that's an equal record. He's the best player in the game, and he could go down as the best player not to win a Brownlow. If he doesn't win it this year or in the next couple of years, I think that's a reality.
Does that define his legacy at all? I mean, you look at guys
it shouldn't.
Fife, who has two. Martin, obviously Dangerfield, these kind of guys.
I think
delve into his votes.
Bont, I think he can get to a status of, we just know he's a legend. He's we're going to introduce a legend tonight in Jason Dunstall in the Hall of Fame. 40, 50 years' time, you can see Bontempelli getting in there as the
You
greatest
look at
ever
how much he's
Bulldogs.
polling, though. As I said, 33 votes, and he came second. He didn't even win. I think when you look at the total amount of Brownlow votes or average Brownlow votes per game or whatever it is, he'll actually still be up there anyway. So I don't think it should.
Great for
define
him
his
to win
legacy.
one, but yeah, wouldn't hurt his legacy.
How does he compare? I know that Champion Data does a Brownlow predictor as well. Where is the Bont landing at the moment on that?
We got him sixth.
Sixth.
So we got Nick Dacos has just taken the lead in the last couple of weeks. So again, the one thing that we're big on with our Brownlow predictor, we don't tinker with it. We're happy with it, but we don't use it as, it's just a nice little sort of novelty to have to the side. It's very much got built in is the not recency bias, umpire bias. So we do know that Nick Dacos previously, he has got 3 votes in a game. What did he do in that game? Where did he rate to get those 3 votes? If he's had similar games this year, then we're going to expect him to get 3 votes, even if the newspapers or someone else had someone else playing a better game or ratings going higher. It will look at it and sort of go, well, Nick Dacos has got votes with this type of game before, so we'll give him votes. So Nick Dacos, number 1. Patrick Cripps, number 2. Another really good poll previously. So I think a little bit of umpire bias comes in for Cripps. But here's the one that I know Jake's not here and we'll speak more about the Brownlow as the year goes on. But here's a smoky for me. He's actually, you look at his numbers and what he's doing for Carlton, it's on par with how he was going when he won the Brownlow. Obviously, Heaney and Bont and Nick Dacos are all stepped up their games too. But yeah, wouldn't surprise me to see Cripps maybe sneak into the top 3 on the night. But then we got 3 Sydney blokes in a row, which just cannibalising each other. Heaney on 14 votes, or 40, we do decimal. So Heaney 14.5, Chad Warner 13.7, and Errol Goulden 13.6. 3rd, 4th, or 5th, and Bontempelli.
That's crazy.
You see that though, and you go, well, it's little wonder that's the side on top of the ladder when you're getting even contributions and consistent contributions from 3 absolute stars.
Could we ever get a 3-way tie from one club? Could you imagine that? Talking about stealing votes of each other.
Imagine if they won the flag in the same year. What a fruitful existence that would be.
Unbelievable.
Good stuff from Bont. Keep an eye out on his season because maybe the revenge tour is going to end in success for him. You don't know.
Especially if he doesn't get tagged like the Dockers, the mistake that they made.
Bizarre choice, wasn't that? I think that's shown that you need to put some time and effort into him.